I've just seen us lose 2-0 away from home to Tottenham. One of the easiest wins I've seen Tottenham record over us in my entire life as a fan. In my entire life as a Chelsea fan, yeah? And the thing that upsets me the most is that I'm not feeling angry or livid. And do you know why? It's because I accepted our fate in that second half. Because realistically, yeah, what could we do to get back in the game? That's the scary thing right now. That is a detail that has to be discussed. Do you know what hit me today? It's like we're trying to play this super advanced football that's not going to advance us at all towards doing anything in the Premier League this season. It's beyond us. It's too much. If you want to keep forcing this advanced way of playing, it's going to make us fall lower and lower down the table. As I was saying all last week, as a lot of people have said, it's time to go back to basics. You have to limit some of the attacking players you're using right now. Not all four of these guys can work, especially when these guys are getting switched up, game in, game out, not even building consistency like that. Like this João Felix in behind as a striker. Listen, on paper, theoretically, yeah, but in reality right now, when there's no number 9, a proper number 9 for him to play up front with, it's just limiting us and making us weak in the transition. Like for me, it's a lot deeper than thinking, if Zakaria started, if Badiashile started, if we had Aubameyang up front. Do you guys forget the game we just watched? All the passing patterns, all the moves, ball to feet. How are we going to break Spurs down today? What was the game plan to create against them? And could we even create anything against Spurs, realistically? Could we do that? This is where things are becoming very dangerous for me right now. And it goes back to something I was saying throughout last week. I did a video on this saying, Graham Potter, go back to basics, because it's starting to feel a little bit like there's too many cooks in the kitchen right now. And it's just like, if you want to be playing this slick pass and go football, it's not going to happen at all throughout the entirety of this season. It's not going to happen. These guys don't understand each other's games. There's no time to get it done. It's not going to happen. Right now, a lot of us are calling for results to be the priority. And then you pick strategically the time to start getting these guys playing football and doing all this stuff, yeah? Because realistically, what was the game plan to break Spurs down? This was a very easy defensive performance for Spurs. And it's just like, it doesn't matter if you got João Felix or Sterling or Mudryk or all these attacking players, because if there are no ways and avenues to create against Spurs, then we're screwed, bro. Like, we can't even cross inside the box. Why? Because there's no one to get on the end of these crosses. That kills one of the ways to attack and to break them down. You're looking at the wide guys today in this game. Once they get past the man, who is there that they can pass to inside the box? All those avenues are closed down and blocked. Everything was just desperate, half chances, and it was incredibly easy for Tottenham to defend against. And it's just like, for me, this experiment now of seeing 4-2-3-1 with all these attacking players in the team, like they will never get in sync mentally as a team to be effective in the final third. A lot of us wanted to see a 3-4-3 in this game today. A lot of us were thinking, listen, let's go back to basics a lot more. Going back to basics is something a lot of us have been calling for right now. Let's make sure we're defensively solid, and let's make sure we can try to create chances on the counter-attack. I think that's what we have to do, because other than making chances on the counter-attack, like what we saw against West Ham and what we saw against Borussia Dortmund, there hasn't been too much of our open play football that is threatening enough to break teams down. That is the reality, and this is the main issue, because it's deeper than whatever players you're putting on the field. Aubameyang came on. Even if he started the game, it's not making a difference, because what service is he really realistically getting in this game today? You're looking at the guys in behind, Mount's up the team, João Felix is there. What difference is João Felix really making this game today? This is what I'm stressing. It's deeper than just personal switches, lineups. It's like the fundamentals of how we're playing. And if the fundamentals bother you, then I definitely understand why you are not warming to Graham Potter and why Potter has to do better. Because, listen, some of us sympathise with the current situation. Of course, it's a bloated squad. Everyone's coming back, fresh and fit right now. It's going to get even tenser when you have a full-strength, fully fit team with all these guys wanting game time. It becomes an impossible situation. There could be discussions around the fact that, okay, even though we're sacrificing this season to set us up for the future, is this still like a massive tall order? Is this a gamble that's being taken? Because realistically, we've lost today. And I think we all kind of know that we can lose more games as the season goes on. And right now, with Spurs being the decisive game to really understand where we are going right now, is there some positivity over the horizon? It's not about being a fan of Potter or being against him right now. It's deeper than that. And now for me, this is the game I had to see to understand, could we be falling down further and further down the table? I would not be surprised right now, my friends, and that's the worrying thing. And I'm just thinking to myself, Graham Potter, I said in my video, control the controllables right now. It's going to be an impossible situation to make this entire squad happy. In this lineup again today, we saw more differences. It seemed like Potter turned towards using more experienced guys in the team. Realistically, some of these experienced guys probably won't be here next season. So it's like, what was the point of that? What is that really bringing for right now? And what does that really add in the future as well? Because Ziyech isn't going to be any plan at all. Right now, we're a team that is bubbling with attacking potential, where that potential can't be untapped. There needs to be a balance of us having more, strength in the team, more pressing qualities. I mentioned that in a video last week. What's happened to the intensity in our press? It's not going to exist when you have 4 attacking players where guys like João Felix isn't going to defend. And what's the funny thing? The first goal we can see from Oliver Skip outside the box, João Felix was weak. And it wasn't the first example in this game today where he was brushed off the ball and he was weak. And it kind of feels to me like this 4-2-3-1 experiment we're seeing so far is to try and get the best out of João Felix and co. Listen, I understand that he's on loan right now. We have plans to sign him. But realistically, we don't own this guy right now. And for me, I think he was probably one of the worst players on the field today, alongside Ziyech as well too. And it's just like, I understand what you want to do with the João Felix, but it's just not really working. There's not enough guys on the wavelength. There's not enough time to build that understanding as well too. And then the attacking lineups getting switched round and switched round and switched round. It's like Groundhog Day, going back to the same basic mistakes, not seeing any small signs of improvement at all. This game was a massive game to really get an understanding of, okay, can you try and restore a little bit of faith now in the team? We all saw that first half lineup and a lot of people weren't happy, rightfully so now in hindsight, and a lot of us didn't know what to really expect of what the hell was going to happen. But it's starting to feel like right now there's a bit of a pattern now where if that first half lineup isn't really on point, it gives you an indication of how this game can be going down in the line. I'm looking at Joe. Today, I thought 4 turnovers throughout this entire game today, getting brushed off the ball. Playing in behind as this attacking mids. Like, what's that really doing when, Havertz isn't a proper number 9 that's going to hold the ball, pin the defender back and have these guys play off from. And then it's like, okay, he drifts to the right, he drifts to the left to make these overloads. But then what then? Once we make the overloads, once a Sterling bombs down the left or Reece James goes down the right hand side, what do we do from there? This is the billion-dollar question that is not getting answered. And I just kind of think that this thing of forcing everyone to try and make sense right now, it just can't really happen. That is the reality that is just screaming out to me right now. It's not really going to happen, is it? Because it doesn't matter if we can win a few tackles or we can do a nice few passages of play at times or switch the balls or play out from the back. Once it gets down in the final third, it's very simply, there's no real threat to break these teams down. Honestly, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do with this situation. I feel like Potter needs to start making some difficult decisions right now. You can't be playing Mr. Nice. It's impossible to keep this entire squad happy in the context of this season currently, Of course, some people may have conversations around the board, putting the manager in a position, but regardless, Potter was to get sacked right now. Someone comes in, and they're not looking to make the same mistakes. They're thinking, listen, I'm a slave to my ideas. I'm going to do this, that. If that means some guys aren't going to touch the team until the end of the season, so be it. And real talk, after losing another game and knowing the fact that more losses is not an impossible thing on the horizon for right now, it's like, what is the most important thing? What is the most important thing? Like, I can't be bothered to talk about the tactics in this game today. Yeah, it was a game where it was a, battle down the flanks, whoever wins that. But realistically, you know, I'm looking at Hakim Ziyech, who was awful today. On the right-hand side, barely allowing Reece James to get forward because the ball keeps breaking down and breaking down and breaking down. Question marks of why he necessarily started and what he's been adding so far in this 4-2-3-1. I don't know what I've been seeing in this 4-2-3-1. All I'm seeing us is you know, trying things in vain, being super impotent in the final thirds, and then getting picked off from silly details. I mean, for God's sake, outside the books, literally started the second half, Oliver Skip of all guys. Come on, man. That's poor. And then for the second goal, why is Mason Mount man marking Eric Dyer? Should it not be Fofana? Should it not be Koulibaly? And this is what I mean by the balance, yeah? There needs to be a greater balance between physicality and attacking players. Right now, I don't think I can see 4 guys up front. It has to be 3 up front at least. Whether we use a back 3, whether we use a 4-3-3, I just don't think this 4-2-3-1 is going to make as much sense here. And I feel like it's creating too many headaches at this point in time. Unless we can break teams down in the counter-attack, that's our best bet of getting opportunities. And even then, those balls kept getting broken down by individuals on the field. You need to start making some tough decisions. Otherwise, you're going to undermine your position, Graham Potter. I think it's that simple right now. I think it's absolutely 4K. I think it's absolutely crystal clear. And it's just like to pick up one of the most tepid defeats against Spurs, where it's just, it looked like a training ground game at times in that second half. Let's keep things real, man. It looks like a training ground game where Spurs, there was flipping easy for these guys, realistically. And this is what teams are doing right now, just sitting back and having us come onto them because they know we can't break them down. Now, who's the option for Enzo to pass to with those balls over the top? You see it once or twice, sporadically, once a blue moon, because those opportunities don't rise enough. You know, who can we create for up front when we have no proper striker that can do anything? You know, where's the opportunities for cutback crosses when teams are parking the bus already and we're getting overloaded in these moments? Like, bro, this is a terrible situation right now. I don't understand the approach to this game. And you just know that next week we're going to see another different lineup. We're going to see new different things. And I think, let's keep things real. People respect Graham Potter. People have been against the abuse and maybe the incessant micro-criticisms that sometimes aren't accurate. Because I can imagine a lot of people will think a funny X, Y, Z was on the field and makes a difference. No, bro. Potter has to think about picking results now over building this philosophy. Because this philosophy ain't going to philosophize at all this season. And I think this Spurs defeat just made that absolutely clear and absolutely 4K. I mean, you guys, this is mids. It's mids. It is absolutely mids. And yeah, I'm just going to bounce right now. Cool.